Let's kind of break it down, right? So we have Conor McGregor, the biggest star in the division, the money division, the guy who elevated the UFC to the next level, against Dustin Poirier, the American prodigy, the guy that we thought was going to be our Conor McGregor many years ago. So he fought Conor, actually.
Did you ever think that? I feel like I never thought that. People say that. I knew he was like a young, impressive guy, but I never saw him as a number one in the world in the making kind of guy. I saw him as an action fighter in the making. Did you ever see him as reaching this level early on?
Boy, they sold me with the marketing. There was a phenomenal documentary that documented his ascension from novice.
You got sold with some marketing? No kidding. You'll like come up to me with like a Snickers, like, can you believe it's packed with nutty goodness? They say it right there. It's unbelievable, Joe. It's like, yeah, man, it's great.
They built him up like he was going to be the next GSP leading into his first fight in the UFC. It was a documentary that was independently made. It showed his struggle. It showed this guy coming up, fighting in these underground, unsanctioned fights, all the way to where he is, to where he was when he fought Conor McGregor. But here's the thing. Conor McGregor since then has become a mega star. Do you feel, because he's become so successful, he's so financially successful, he's had the big boxing pay-per-view paydays, his whiskey company is doing great, do you feel like having all that money, having all that success so young has killed the eye of the tiger?
Has it made him a little bit more complacent? Could happen. It's happened to a lot of guys before. His style has definitely evolved a lot over time, and I don't think in the best ways for the modern MMA game. I think there could be something to it where he's not as hungry, because when we saw him on his biggest run, it was a lot of emotion. You could feel the emotion pouring out of Conor, and so for him to come in there very emotionally cold, man, there's some guys that need that. You know, they need that spark and that fire and that heat. And then there's some guys that do way better if there's none of that. You kind of have to find your own balance. And he might have gotten it wrong in this one. There's a decent chance, because Dustin ran through him worse than Khabib did. If we're gonna be honest, like by a mile, I thought.
When his legs started swelling up after, I'm not sure if it was a combination of the leg kicks or it was one leg kick that got him perfectly, I noticed that he wasn't able to plant his feet in the same manner to develop the speed that he needed. A lot of people thought that it was a change in speed, but if you go back and see the first round, he had Conor McGregor speed and combination, but it was when the legs were gone, that speed went away. And I dare to say the power went away because he couldn't plant his foot like he needed to. And I thought that was an excellent strategy by Dustin Poirier.
I absolutely agree. And what's changed, ironically, since then is Conor's transition to boxing. And that was a very wide boxing style stance that ended up getting eaten up with leg kicks, which are obviously not a concern in boxing. You know what I mean? And so actually, if we could talk technique for a second, I'm going to be interested to see how guys start having to combat this. I think we're going to see guys a lot lighter on their front leg, because I think that they're going to be lifting it up almost like how Muay Thai guys are constantly bouncing a little bit on their front foot. I think we might start to see some of that in MMA, but I'm not sure how that's going to affect the takedowns, because you have to stand a little taller for that. So there could be some interesting, my larger point is this game's rapidly evolving, and Conor has not been here rapidly evolving with it. And he ends up, paying a price for it in this one.
Do you feel like, as you mentioned, and Conor McGregor mentioned it as well, he said it was ring rust. He actually posted all the times he's asked Dana during the pandemic to fight. He wanted to have a very busy 2020. Unfortunately, we only saw him fight once. How do you think the ring rust affected him in this fight?
Once for 40 seconds, right? I think there is definitely something to that. I mean, since he beat Eddie Alvarez, that was when he went off and he started doing the Floyd stuff, and he started, getting rested more and more, and all the problems started to build up, and he kind of, the trolley shit and the Khabib fight. Since then, since 2015, 2016, he's had 2-3 MMA fights. This is not what you want to see from a guy who's an all-time great. I don't see how it couldn't have affected him, especially when you look at how Dustin Poirier has been composing himself. Man, 2-3 times a year, he fights one of the toughest motherfuckers on the planet. And he is constantly upping his game. he couldn't do takedowns like that the first time he fought Conor. He didn't have that shoulder roll the first time he fought Conor. That's famously Dustin started covering up, and he went around the side because he only had this way of covering up. You know what I mean? He didn't have other defensive tools. Even he fights fucking Max Holloway, and Max Holloway, who's an Omega level striker, is in there telling his corner like he's blocking weird. I don't know what the fuck he's doing. This is a very evolved guy. Amazing, right? This is a very evolved guy in MMA. He's not perfect by any means, but he's really good everywhere, and he has really smart coaches who game plan with him. And I think that ended up having a huge effect. And fucking McGregor, leading up to this fight, he's not with his usual team. He's not getting the usual sparring. He needs to bring back that fucking touch button the park guy because his movement was like shit. Ito Portal, the guy who would like wave a wand around Conor, and Conor was like dancing around it. He was winning world titles with movement. He looked amazing. He gets rid of that guy. He can't move for shit anymore. And it's fucking costing him main events and shit. No joke. He might want to bring back Ito Portal. We all owe an apology to that guy.
What's interesting is I'm doing a Tony Robbins seminar, and Tony Robbins leading into this fight was bragging about how he helped Conor McGregor mentally prepare for this upcoming fight on Saturday. Told everyone to watch it, and he had his fitness coach come in there and talk about the work that he did to be able to develop the flexibility for Conor McGregor into this fight. The following day of the seminar on Sunday, I didn't hear Conor get mentioned once.
No kidding.
There was no Conor mention. There was no anything regarding that. They were like, just trust us. We know what we're doing. But does self-development help with MMA and boxing? Mike Tyson always says that the dog in him, the craziness in him, is what makes him a great fighter. Conor McGregor did not talk trash like he did in the first fight. Conor McGregor was not Mystic Mac calling out which round he was going to fight. There was no beef.
No, he did do that.
It was a lot of hugs, a lot of praise, and a lot of respect. What do you think?
He did do that. He said he was going to knock him out in 60 seconds.
But he wasn't talking trash like he was the first time.
He wasn't talking trash like he was the first time. If you say you're going to knock a man out in 60 seconds, there's a little trash talk behind it.
But they still hugged at the weigh-in.
It was very respectful. I'm not disagreeing with the larger point. But yeah, he definitely wasn't Mystic Mac, and he didn't have the aura. And I think he was probably a little less prepared than he's used to. You know what I mean? Two young kids.
I dare to say the Conor McGregor who punched that old man at the bar would have done better in this fight than the Conor McGregor that we saw. That's the crazy Conor that I want.
He still landed good shots. Let's not act like he went in there and he absolutely laid an egg. I even gave him the first round. I thought he won the first round.
I thought he won the first round as well.
But I thought it was technical issues.
Now,
it was technical issues that cost him this fight.